Welcome into a special edition of Shovik Sports Shit. I'm Corey.
I am Austin.
So we have a new setup, as you can see, new wall behind us, kind of, you know, sporting it up a little bit more than what we've previously had. Um, what's your thoughts on the new setup, real quick?
Yeah, I mean, any chance you can fly a Cubs W flag, uh, it's a good day. But yeah, we sit talking around sports and wanted to, get a little bit of our sports collection and view. Um, and I like it. You get our little Royals bobbleheads, some championship rings, Cubs W, some Game 7 box scores from the Cubs World Series. So just a little look into the things we enjoy keeping around and having around and just sharing it with everyone out there.
Yeah, so it's nothing fancy tonight. We're just going to talk some sports. I've kind of come up with a little list of things to talk about. Just, no football. Well, there will be football towards the end of it, but we always say we'll talk any kind of sports. So let's just talk sports. Let's start with Alex Ovechkin. Ovechkin um, tying Wayne Gretzky, 894. My fantasy team loves it. I know big matchup in our household this week. Semifinals of fantasy hockey playoffs. Me versus you. I think you did actually jump, and I think you got the lead back. So it sets down or showdown tomorrow. Sets up a showdown for tomorrow. So we didn't really get into hockey until we moved here to St. Louis. We'd watch it every now and then, but it wasn't something that was like, oh God, we gotta watch. So, moving here, going to a couple Blues games, seeing, you know, just a live hockey game, NHL game in general, it's been kind of fun. So now we pay a little more attention. Now the Blues, we'll get to them in a second. So let's get your initial thoughts. I mean, even when we weren't big hockey guys, we know who Alex Ovechkin is.
Yeah, and being sports fans, right? It doesn't matter the sport or who it is. Anytime there's history being either chased or about to be made. As sports fans, we still find ourselves tuning into those moments, and this would have been no different, right? Like even if we didn't kind of start getting into hockey, we would still be tuning in and following this just because. I mean, sports history, man, it's like one of the best things. I mean, this is up there with like Game 7s as far as just like special sports moments, right? And I think the crazy thing is just the similarities. Like he got to 894 one game sooner than Gretzky got to his 894. Like just putting their side by side stats and careers and seeing some of that, it's just like we're basically witnessing Wayne Gretzky 2.0, like just down the books. And I don't know, it's special. I've always said before we knew the bender he was just going to go on this year. Uh, that I was curious that if he got it this or didn't get it this year, if he'd come back for another year. But uh, I think there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, because there's still a handful of games left, so we're going to be tuning in. I definitely think he gets it, but we're definitely going to be tuning into his games a little moving forward, just to witness history. Like that's
Yeah,
exciting. As for sports fans, I don't care. Like history isn't like if anyone like when those hit streaks back in the day, it doesn't happen anymore because people hit 200. But like when people started getting like 30, 40 game hit streaks in baseball, you'd start tuning in a little bit because that's supposed to be like the unbreakable record in sports. And so like anytime you can see and witness history, like you get excited as a sports fan.
yeah, and I think I also remember where I was when Barry Bonds had the record-breaking home run. Right, I was in my freshman year of college. So again, you tune in to watch stuff like that. And then obviously with the Chiefs going for their three-peat, but NFL is a little different as far as records and stuff. I think in NFL obviously with viewership and whatnot, but hockey's slowly getting up there as far as viewership goes, popularity goes. I think having that Four Nations competition kind of really shook the game up a little bit in a good way.
Yep.
So again, huge record about to be broken. I am on board with you. I think he gets it, and I think he gets it probably his next game.
Yeah, he no, let's he doesn't have to get it tomorrow. Let mine and yours
Nah,
matchup be
nah, he
done.
can get it tomorrow, and
Uh,
and
but
let's
yeah, either way, it's gonna be awesome.
and then we know a lot of Final Four watchers are going right now. 76, 71, 28 seconds left. Florida's up. We got a chance to watch a little bit of that before we got on here tonight.
And then them's some big boy players.
Yeah, there's a
Like
couple big time dunks. So we'll keep you updated as that goes, and we know the big ones, the bigger game.
what should be the national championship game.
Yeah,
I think it's the two best teams, Duke and Houston.
this Florida team's different though. Um, and we'll talk about the Final Four here in a few minutes. Let's go real quick to our neck of the woods and staying on the hockey kind of bandwagon real quick. Oh, I've scored. So
They did.
what even anybody I had. Boo. So the Blues are kind of on a what we would call a winning streak. Not just a little winning streak. It's a pretty decent sized winning streak right now. Um, 11 and counting, I believe. Probably going to be 12 unless there's some massive collapse tonight.
It is St. Louis.
It
So
is
like
St.
that.
Louis, and they are playing against Colorado. I'm a big Avs guy too, just because Nathan McKinnon, Kale McCarr, and some of the talent they have. So 4-1 in the second period, but Blues were kind of a weird season, right? The way they started, firing their coach early on, bringing in a guy, and all we kept hearing about was this guy's the guy. Like this is who we needed. This is who we wanted. This is what we really needed. And then they really didn't do much as far as like you know winning at first, and then here they are winning. We started slowly seeing the style that they're playing, and it's coming into fruition, and it's actually coming in at probably the best possible time.
Yeah, man, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And they did just enough during the start to have this hot finish. I mean, just a few weeks back before this win streak, we're talking, are they going to do enough to get in the wild card? Well, shit, man. Like, if they keep it this rate, I don't know if there's enough games left, but they could be talking about just being one of the top few spots in the division. So they're on a bender. There's a lot of excitement, right? Like the new coach, people were excited about, went on a little heater. They call Snuggerud up. Obviously, been excited for him for a while. See him getting some PT, making nice plays tonight with some assists, but um, there's some excitement, and not even as a Blues fan. Uh, anyone who's kind of followed hockey the last few years will know uh, JB, when games matter, is a top one goalie. I mean, he's the reason they won it. Won the Stanley Cup. The Four Nations. He did what he does. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. It's a good time to be a Blues fan. Uh, it's a good thing because I just don't know how much they're going to be able to root for the Cardinals around here. But with the Blues being hot, going streaking, calling up an exciting young player, it's a really good time right now.
Yeah, we got chat going. Let's go. I have the volume down as I watch the Final Four. We love it, dude. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. We knew it was going to be kind of a ballsy thing of trying to do it during the Final Four, but again, we just wanted to talk sports tonight. We had nothing better to do, and we're going to continue to do that probably here for the next 45 minutes or so. Update 77-73, 12 seconds to go. I think Florida might have this wrapped up. Um, dude, some of the poster dunks in that game for Florida and even Auburn, their big guy had a couple of them too. But I don't know, man. I think Florida Duke, you know, I think that's what it's going to be. I love Houston, I really do. But we talked actually the other day off of when we weren't doing any of this. Cooper Flag's actually like, we didn't know what to really expect. He was just one of those guys that picked Duke over KU, so we were kind of just like, shrugged it off. But then like you start watching as much college basketball as we watch, and you start paying more attention. And obviously, Duke being Duke, they're always getting national games. This guy's different. You heard all of the talk of Cooper Flag did this with the Team USA, the U18s or the U19s when the NBA players were getting ready for theirs, and he held his own. And even like LeBron, Steph, those guys were like, hey, you know, take recognition of this guy. So what he's been able to do as a true freshman has been astonishing. I don't think and let's not take anything away from Duke. They're a good team.
Yeah, they have good role players for sure.
So it's been Cooper Flag, right? And he's going to be the number one overall pick. He should be the number one overall pick. He's kind of, and I think he's going to be a superstar in the NBA. I think he's got the size for it. He's competitive, and just the way he plays basketball, he plays the game the right way. He's not like other Duke players that they've had in the past. Jason Tatum, okay, yes, but then I think of like Grayson Allen, some of those other players, and it's like this guy's different. I think he's going to be a superstar in the NBA. Do you agree, or were you kind of leaning towards like maybe an all star, or like what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you obviously know what I prefer in sports, but yeah, what Cooper Flag's done since March Madness has began, like those players that whether you're a superstar or not, you can tell what players were made for the big time. And like he was already really good throughout the season, conference play, conference tournaments, but he has somehow elevated his game during March Madness, and those are the players that are special. Um, and even though he's on Duke, really enjoyable to watch. Um, but that being said, my favorite thing about him, you don't see it often anymore, especially out of like number one overall recruits and the hype behind him. The dude's effort is off the charts. So even if he's not a superstar, all-star caliber player, he is going to be a really good NBA player just because the dude cares. Like he plays like he loves the game of basketball and he just max effort. And that stuff you can't really coach, right? Like you're either a dog or you're not, and he definitely is. So his ceiling is through the roof, but I think he actually has a really safe floor as well. Whether he reaches his ceiling or not, he's gonna have a bare minimum quality ass NBA career.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of going through the tail of the tape as Florida knocks off Auburn. So Florida is one half of your national championship Monday. Looks like 4.5 point favorite Duke tonight. They come in 35-3, Houston 34-4. We obviously know about Houston. We played them twice this year. Probably should have beat them the first time in Allen Fieldhouse. That was a epic fail, up 6 or 7 with under what, like 10 seconds left.
Just didn't know how to inbound the ball, and then when we did turn it over, so yeah, it
Yes,
was
yeah.
rough.
ESPN has Duke as a 54% favorite of winning. Let's see. So let's go through the points. Points per game for Houston. LJ Cryer 15.4, 41%, 91.5 free throw. Rebounds. Jawan Roberts. I do like Jawan Roberts. I think he could be a huge difference maker on the glass tonight. If Houston's going to want to win, they're going to have to get second chance points. So he's got 6 rebounds a game. That's 3 defensive, 2.5 offensive rebounds a game. So that's really good. And then for the assist, Uzan, another guy who, if he's on and shooting the ball really well, this Houston team they go up another level. Um, the question is it gonna be good Uzan, or if Uzan or Cryer, either one of those guys are having an off night, it's gonna be a really long night for Houston. Duke, Cooper Flag, 19 a game, 48.3%, then 83% free throws, averaging 7.5 rebounds a game, 6 defensive, and 1.3 offense, and then assists. Cooper Flag 4.2, two averaging 2 turnovers a game, but I'm not too concerned by that. But Houston is a really good athletic team.
They're the better team. Duke has the best player, but Houston's the better team
Yeah,
as far as just like cohesiveness and depth and everything. Um,
Florida
yeah,
is going to the national championship. How about that?
that wasn't on my bingo card to start the year. I'll
No,
tell you that much. It
no.
wasn't even on my bingo card, aka bracket,
And
beginning of March. So they do have a stud. I don't. I know we kind of followed the score and let you know that they won, but that I already forgot his name. We were just watching Clayton.
yep,
Talk about dogs.
yeah. Let me pull
Uh,
up that box score real quick. I know he had
he
27
he
last I
finished with
looked.
34. Uh, that dude's a dog. Well, I guess he's a gator. But yeah, I didn't see this coming. Good for them. You know, I am one of the one that's kind of has SEC fatigue just across sports, but respect is it's due where it's due, and then Florida they balled out.
One of our Instagram messages are going crazy right now about Florida, and then we have one guy. Sundays are for the league. Fuck Duke. That's usually typically what we would say.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm not a fan by any
yeah,
means,
no,
but
not a fan, but still, that's hilarious. But so one last thing on the Florida Duke or Houston Duke game. I mean, I kind of felt like these two had kind of an easier path. Houston's kind of struggled the last couple of games as far as like offensively. I mean, Duke they kind of handled Alabama. I know the score was indicative of that, but I think it's still a double dig or close. Um, I'm going with Duke tonight. I think Cooper Flag. I think he's still going to be the difference maker. He is the best player on the floor, and something in moments like this. I don't think moments. Obviously, the moment hasn't been too bright for him all season. I don't think this is going to be any different. Um, I'm going to put me down for Cooper Flag having a double double. I do think it's only like a 4 point game. I think Houston's defense is good enough to keep him in it. Is their shooting going to be, something that keeps them in it? That's kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the game plan for Houston, but I mean, you know me, I give me the team, overall team, and give me the team defense, and I think that's Houston. Duke is a good defensive team. Theirs is more length than anything. Like they're an NBA roster when it comes to like length and everything. Uh, I think I've said it even before this tournament that like Duke Houston should have been a national championship option because I do think it's the two best teams. Now, March has happened and Florida has decided to enter the chat. Um, so I mean, it works out that we get Duke Houston and then another game afterwards. But um, I'm gonna take Houston. I just I think they're gonna make the game ugly. Again, Duke could. I don't watch enough Duke to know if they've had a lot of games where they've had to get ugly, win ugly, play ugly. They very well could, but I've seen enough Houston games to know that that's their comfort zone. So if they can make the game ugly and play it how they want, I think they're gonna be okay. Um, their defense is good enough to overcome a bad offensive night. You just have to see if Duke's hitting shots or not. So, uh, per usual, we're split on that, but I do think it's gonna be one of the better games we've seen all March. Well, April now.
April, but yeah, I mean, it's still technically March Madness. Final Four weekend's usually fun. Unfortunately, KU's not in it, but we didn't expect them to be. Um,
They
but
kept the streak alive. That's
it
all that
is
matters.
today is the 2 year anniversary, 3 year anniversary of the last national championship team for them. But moving on, so that will do for our college basketball talk. If the Duke Houston game tips off while we're still on here, we'll update as we go. I want to move on real quick to Colorado Pro Day was yesterday. I've been
Mm,
seeing
hmm
some mixed bags. I know everyone's saying Travis Hunter's a lock. We kind of knew that. The big topic of discussion was Shador. Did he do good? Did he not do good? I watched video. The throws were on point. There's just a few things that people were critiquing as far as like patting the ball and
Those are
just
the things that matter, though.
yes and no. I mean, there's still quarterbacks that pat the ball, and I mean, I guess we can.
You can nitpick, right? But that extra point four is the difference from T.J. Watt just not getting you and giving him just enough time. Now, those things they can be worked on, right? Like fundamentals can be worked on. Your
Right.
footwork, your technique. Um, so I do think it's a little harsh to maybe think he's going to slide down for something like that. But things like that do matter. Now, is he coachable? I don't really. We've never. You'd like to think he is. I mean, Dion's son should be coachable, but it is little things like that, and that's what the combine and scouting report is. It nitpicks. Um, had to be expected, right? I mean, every. I'm sure there's people out there nitpicking Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. You know, like Travis Hunter with two positions, you might have a little more to nitpick on either side. So I'm not surprised people are nitpicking, but your footwork and your patting the ball, all of that, that like those do matter if you're not able to correct them.
Yeah, and Travis he did some routes yesterday as a receiver, so that went well as expected. I mean, no one's sitting here saying he wasn't a very good receiver. I mean, he was good both sides, right? So you know, ooh, Rockies make it look easy by going 5-4-3 for a triple play. How about that?
Hey,
Rockies Rockies not off to a bad start this year.
they got Chris Bryant.
That team ERA leading in the majors as of yesterday. I think it was 1.62 for the starters.
It's not an easy place to have that ERA, so see if it holds.
Well, they're just now in their home opener, so we'll
Oh,
see. But back to
that's why.
yeah, there is one name in Colorado that I think people should start kind of watching it, and it's receiver Jimmy Horn. Um, Obviously, with Colorado being in the Big 12 and KU playing Colorado this year, obviously Travis Hunter got his against KU, but Jimmy Horn's been pretty reliable all season as well. They actually had some really good skill position players
really
Now
good.
these guys aren't going to be your first round, not even second round. These are going to be those guys in the third, fourth, fifth that are they're going to help teams. Jimmy Horn's one of those guys. I know they got some defensive players that again those guys will probably get their good starts as far as special teams and work their way in. But so keep that in mind if you're listening to this. Jimmy Horn's a guy to kind of keep your eye on as far as being kind of a sneaky pick and one that I think could make a difference. Well, not difference, but I think he could be a starter within the first couple years as he plays. Um, I know that the Titans were impressed by Shador Sanders, but they did cancel their private workout with Shador. Some people are like, "Oh, that means Cam Ward's a lock." I don't know if that necessarily means it, but I don't think anyone was thinking Shador Sanders was going to be the number one overall pick. If you did, kudos to you, I
And it
suppose.
still could be, right? Like Titans have kind of held a very close grip on this. Sometimes teams will come out, like Texans back in the day, when you're like 75 years ahead of time that they were taking like Mario Williams.
Yeah,
And so, like, but not Titans are holding it. I still think Titans want to move out of that first pick, which is why they're kind of holding it tight. But yeah, I don't. That's what we like to do, right? Even sports fans, we like to read a little extra into it. I was even one when you told me they canceled the private workout, and I'm like, ooh, that Will Levis slide begins for Shador. But that's just what we do, right? Like we overreact or look too much into things, but we honestly have no idea what to expect. Draft nights have gotten more wild as the years have gone on, so um, they're you don't really know. We can sit and think Cam Ward's the best one, but do the Titans feel the same way? Do they even care about any of the quarterback? We just don't know. So uh, I am curious to see. I do think one of the quarterback slides, uh, and if I had to pick, it would be Shador. But it's also a league where quarterback's the most important. So teams also get desperate. So if one of those teams that are sitting there are like, shit, we can get Shador, like, might as well take a chance. It's quarterback. So you just don't know. But uh, yeah, I wouldn't read too much into canceling a private workout. Like,
no,
there's so much tape and
and,
combines and pro days that like they've seen enough.
and they were there watching Travis Hunter too, right? Because he's still a guy that could be that there at number one, and I think that's more likely if they were to go one or the other. I think Travis Hunter would be the number one overall pick, not Shador. Um, but if the accuracy stuff helps overrun the whole padding of the football that everyone was making, like, it was probably just one person who probably made that clip just to try to make himself go viral about nitpicking the padding of the ball. I'm not too concerned by it. You still see it in the NFL. Mahomes does it. Everyone does it. So again, Lamar does it when he's dancing around in the pocket. But again, those guys can still make plays. Is Shador the same? Maybe. Obviously, he's very familiar with not having a very good offensive line in front of him. Chances are he's probably going to get taken by a team who doesn't have a very good offensive line. So at least he has practice there. So again, I still think if they were to go number one, it would be Travis Hunter over Shador.
Yeah, he's the best player in the draft, so there's no argument against that happening. It's just they've done nothing to address the quarterback room, so I think that's why people are kind of just assuming a quarterback's going number one because that's just kind of the thing now. But yeah, no idea what's going to happen. If they could trade back into like a Jackson Dart range, get more picks, that'd be ideal. But yeah, as far as the quarterbacks go, we don't really. This isn't a class that is like Caleb Williams,
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. This doesn't have that feel. So I don't know what to expect with quarterback. Maybe teams don't like the quarterbacks at all, and we just don't see a quarterback go in the top like 15. Like if that's where if they don't have grades that high, maybe teams are like, we're done wasting picks. We've sucked at picking quarterbacks long enough. Let's not add another one.
Yeah. And again, I still think Cam Ward would be the guy for the Titans, uh, unless they get in that massive haul, right? Or trading back, Giants maybe. Who knows? But again, anything can go. In the next what 2.5, 3 weeks now are going to be. Well, I guess it's under 3 weeks now. Damn, draft's coming up. Every
Cruising.
cruising right along. So the draft's coming up. So again, this could go all the way up to draft night, right? Like I don't see anything massive taking place before the draft. It's very rare that that happens. But again, I still like Cam Ward number one, but I'm not. We're not. gonna do a mock draft tonight. So
No. Yeah, I if I had to pick one, I think Cam Ward goes number one. Like if I have to put my answer down, not what I should think it should be or anything or what they'll do, but Cam Ward would be who I would quote unquote bet on as the number one pick.
yeah, so I'm gonna do a little keep it on the college football rank because KU, who would have thought KU football got another three-star recruit today, an offensive lineman, 6'6", 300 pounds, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. That now puts their 2026 class at 14, which is good enough for now, as of today, number 6 in the nation as far as recruiting class goes. And obviously, three 4 stars and 11 3 stars. But you look at the teams in front of them: number 5 Ohio State, 4 LSU, 3 Texas A&M, 2 Clemson, 1 USC. That's Kansas at number 6. That's Kansas at number 6, right?
Yeah, and I think ours comes from a volume of commits. Don't get us wrong, like we're excited about it now, but as more commits start rolling in for this next season, like we will fall down the list and whatnot. But I think being able to just get this level of recruiting early on will only help recruiting down the road. Uh, I mean, if we can, I don't know if we've ever been at this point ever in any recruiting class.
Not,
Even,
not that I remember.
yeah, no. So, I mean, it is a cool thing. It's exciting. Uh, we can lean on this and brag about it for as long as we want to, and hell, maybe we land a couple 5 stars along the way, and we kind of hold our grip kind of up there with these other quote unquote big dogs. But uh, it's exciting for now. Like the fact that 10 years ago we would wonder if we could even get 10 total players interested in KU, and
Yeah,
now just a year out, like well ahead of schedule, we have this many commits. I think that alone speaks volumes.
and that's not for this year's team. This is
No,
2026.
year out.
But with what the track record with this coaching staff too, and the transfer portal, and what they've been able to do with the transfer portal, that gives you hope that this team's going to be relevant for as long as these guys are here. You don't want to overload it with transfer portal, but that's just kind of how it is. But if you can get your high school class where it needs to be, and there's still KU, like there's still a chance some of these guys come in and play as freshmen, right? That KU's not some powerhouse. They're not deep. It's a good selling point to get some of these kids to come play football at Kansas. As far as, hey,
Yeah, and it with how the game is now, it's hey, come play for us for a year or two, get used to the college level. We know you're gonna enter the transfer portal every year anyway. Why don't you come play with us and then see where you're at after those couple years instead of going to Alabama, sitting for 2 years and being like, shit, I kind of want to play football, and now you're trying to transfer with really no experience still at the college level. So it's a whole new world for recruiting, and it is absolutely I mean, between playing time and the money they're actually putting into the facilities and field and everything. I mean, it's weird to say, but it's an enjoyable time to be a KU football fan.
it is. And let's take a dive into the team this year. So they've been doing spring practices. They had fan appreciation day today, which was in part of their spring game. So they're not doing a spring game. One, the construction of the new stadium. Two, then um, a lot of coaches are opting to not do their spring games, which is understandable. And we're still KU. Like there's still you know chances people leave, right? You don't want that. Um, but this transfer class that we have this year is one of the better ones in the recent years, and we've had some okay ones. But we had two guys from Alabama, receiver, who all indications that I've been reading from some of the Jayhawk slant guys and some of the KU bloggers, this guy's kind of the real deal. Some of the coaches are saying it's one of the fastest kids that we've had at KU as far as receivers go. That he's making our defense look bad, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing as far as route running goes. Um, all questions are: can JD6 stay healthy, and how do you replace everyone's favorite Devin Neal? Um, and then our favorite, the offensive line. We're gonna have to replace some good ones, some guys that are gonna get drafted in a couple weeks. Um, but again, this is what comes with being a successful program: is being able to fill these spots. I know you're really excited about one of the running backs, and I'll let you kind of dive into what makes you excited about him and maybe what you see from him this upcoming season. This isn't a full on preview. We'll do that later on down the road, but this is kind of like a little sneak peek into our initial thoughts as we wrap up practices going into the season.
Yeah, I mean he's an Iowa running back. I think we've listened to the shows previously. I kind of enjoy some Iowa running backs, but um, it's going to be a little different than Devin Neal uh, as far as styles go. Um, so Jayhawk fans, just be a little patient with it, right? Like we love Devin Neal I mean, as you should, but this is going to be a little different. Little less patience, a little more decisive, uh, and a lot of explosiveness. L- Give it a little time for him to get a feel. I mean, running lanes are no different than anything else. Everyone has to be in sync. It's going to take time to build that. But his explosiveness, I think I compared him off the air to you to like a Kenneth Walker in the NFL. You might get a little frustrated because you're just going to see a bunch of -2 to 2 yard gains, but then he's going to have those 2 to 3, 40, 50, 60 yard just boom, gone. And that's okay. I'll take that. Uh, Devin Neal was to us perfect, never not getting 3, 4, 5 yards no matter what, and then still throwing in 40, 50, 60 yard runs regularly. But this dude's explosive. Uh, Comes from an Iowa program that you know their only offense was running the football. Um, so yeah, and I mean it's still going to be running back by committee. It helped. I mean we still had a pretty good committee with Devin Neal there. So I don't think that one person replaces Devin Neal, but we have a really good committee of backs to make our backfield not a weakness. So I think he's going to be the leader in that. I think Highshaw maintains his similar role, bruiser, goal line kind of guy, but it'll be a committee. This dude leading the charge. I still think we're gonna still gonna be kind of a spread, especially if we get some speed out there. Spread it, throw it around, uh, type deal. But yeah, we have a lot of exciting transfers. The Alabama ones, this Iowa running back, South Carolina linebacker. Like it was a really good transfer class.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of the defense, right? I'm thinking linebacker, obviously what you said, South Carolina, we had Texas, another Alabama guy. It's been wild. It truly has been. This defense is gonna be better than some are gonna expect, right? Like typically you wouldn't think, but I think this defense is gonna be much improved just based on experience and the talent that they brought in.
Yeah, if the corners who replaced Dotson and Kobe are even just playable, like obviously not to their level, but as long as they aren't just burnt toast out there, yeah, I think your spot. This defense might actually be the strength, which I don't know if we've ever said that about a KU team. So I think you're spot on with the potential of the defense, especially in a Big 12, right? Like you're not playing Big 10, SEC every week. You can probably be an average look actual defense, but look pretty damn good week to week in the Big 12.
Yeah, as you see, Kobe kind of other way,
Yeah,
poking his
yeah.
way right there,
Cobes.
making his camera debut. All right, Cobes. All right, so kind of wrapping up with the college football thing, and like I said, it's not going to be a full-on preview. We'll do that later on as we get closer to the start of the season. But again, I like KU's chances this year as far as being more competitive and turning games that we should have won last year. I think that was a huge difference. We just weren't able to, compete very well as far as that goes. And look at that guy. Look at him making his debut. Yeah. So moving on. One last thing. We'll talk some baseball, and we may talk a little NFL in the last few minutes here. Royals off to a slow start. A couple extra inning losses, and kind of a no show today. Even though Bobby had a home run, again, he had multiple chances when he came up. Slow start. Again, I'm not too worried about this team quite yet. It's still a week into the season. What makes you question whether or not we should be concerned?
I think it's just kind of what we've mentioned before, kind of what we were worried about coming into the season. Like I'm still worried about those couple bats in the middle of the lineup behind Sal. Um, Garcia kind of finding his groove. If he can maintain that, it'll help add a little depth down at the bottom of the lineup. But, the Renfros, Melendezes, Kyle Isbells, like, gotta be a little more consistent and productive because it can't be, yeah, flying the fucking W. That's right. Go Cubs, go baby. Uh, but they just need a little more. I think the point of uh, going and getting a guy like Jonathan India was to help set the table and then also deepen the lineup a little bit more so you didn't just rely on Vinny, Bobby, and Sal. But early on, it looks like we're still going to go as those three go. And it should be as a team, right? Like you should go as your best two or three players go, but you got to have a little more depth to your lineup. I love our bullpen. I love the starting pitching we have so far. Defense still looks fine, but I just don't think there's enough productivity behind Sal in the lineup to not have some worry about it.
Well, let's go to a team that is flying high right now, as again flying W. One of the hotter teams right now as far as offensive production goes.
Longest win streak in baseball too.
And
Told you, man, get us away from Tokyo and the Dodgers, and we're a damn good team.
7-4 to start the season. They plus 22 run differential already.
Thanks,
Um,
A's.
well, that, but I mean, let's not. I mean, not. I mean, they're playing the Padres now. Undefeated Padres, no more, right?
That's right.
And they've not struggled at
No,
all with it.
it's the home opener, baby. I wish we would have got the Dodgers at our actual home. Would have fucked them up.
But you, you're looking at a pitcher now, Boyd today, starter, still hasn't given up a run this season. He's not, again, um, don't look too far into that. It's still a lot of games left, but uh,
Pitching depth, right?
we and I
That
told
adds.
you after the A's, like yeah, it's the A's. Baseball and confidence go to hand in hand. You're seeing a very confident offensive team right now, and then as far as like your defense goes,
Yeah, I mean,
Ian Happ made a damn good play today.
we have the best defense across the board. May not have like a single best defender, but I mean, Haps won Gold Gloves, Tucker's won Gold Gloves, PCA will win Gold Gloves, Swanson's won Gold Gloves, Horner's Gold Glove. Our corner infielders, little to be desired, but I mean, that's all but two positions where we had there's gold and multiple gold. So yeah, defense and pitching won't be an issue for the Cubs. It's been hitting previous years.
Yeah, and now you're starting to kind of see Craig Counsell manage, right? I think having a big guy, big bat like Tucker,
Huge.
and I think Ian Happ being a leadoff guy has been good. Seiya Suzuki, what's he gonna do? I think he can get hot at any time, right? He wasn't swinging a very good bat today, but again, that's just today. That doesn't take away the fact that the Cubs are hot right now.
Dansby's finally looking hot,
Dansby had a
so
nice
that's
knock today.
huge.
Yeah. So again,
And we
I
have
know
a cycle hitting catcher who's
cycle hitting
had
catcher,
another dong today.
first
So
catcher to do it in March,
first player.
first player to do it in March.
Never had a cycle in March for baseball before. So
So
now
and
Carson Kelly's that guy.
yeah, and I think going into the season, that was one of your concerns was catching,
Yep.
right? You didn't know what to expect. You were kind of wondering where that was going to come from as far as productivity. And Maya had a good Tokyo series,
He did.
and now Carson Kelly's kind of doing it. So I mean, if you have a 1-2 and they stay consistent, you're not asking them to go out and stay what they're doing now, but if they can stay consistent in what they're doing, 99 wins that you predicted before the season doesn't seem so fucking weird now. It's still
Especially with how the Central has looked, right? The Brewers' whole pitching staff's on the IL. Cardinals, their offense looks like they could be a tough out, but their pitching is shaky after Sonny Gray, and then the rest don't really need to be talked about. But um, yeah, and this goes to my point of the Royals, like with what you said with their catchers. We're not expecting Salvador Perez, Adley Rutschman numbers. If they can stay semi-consistent at that 7, 8, 9 where they're hitting, to get a little production there, and then to get on base for the top of our lineup with Hap, Tucker, Suzuki, like that's all we're asking for. You don't have to go out and be, all world catchers. Just
nice.
do enough.
And I think I saw some comments today that the Cubs are still leaving quite a few men on base. But that's going to happen. You're still putting up runs. Do
You
you
can
want
go look. Dodgers are probably leaving a lot on
Do
base.
you want to? No, you never want to leave players on base. And right now, as of now, it's not costing the Cubs. Now, if it starts costing the Cubs, then you can start really questioning what they're doing. Case in point, last year the Royals were one of the better hitting teams with runners in scoring position. Right now, to start the season, not so much. Michael Garcia, eh. But Bobby came up multiple times with runners on base today, and he popped out and grounded out. Sal's had plenty of opportunities with runners on base. Those were the plays last year that the Royals were able to make. Bobby was hitting what like 360 or something with runners in scoring position last year.
Yeah. Well, and
And,
that's why all three
and,
almost had 100 plus ribbies.
and again, yes, it's early, but it's a trend that you want to see start tweaking now, right? Don't let this like now you're in May or April. You got to have a good April because Royals are notoriously bad in May, and obviously the schedule right now is not doing much favor for April. But there's winnable games if you want to be where you think you're going to be. These are the games you have to have.
Well, and the pitching has to, whatever it is, no matter how the lineup was hitting, the pitching had has to keep them in games. The game today got away from them a little bit, but the pitching has to keep them in the games for the Royals to do what they did last year or exceed it. Because they right now they don't have enough lineup to overcome inconsistent up and down pitching. Like the pitching has to be what it was last year, lights out, because they did not do enough to their lineup to let the pitching regress a little bit, but the lineup pick them up. It's basically the same lineup with a different leadoff hitter. Other than that, nothing changed. Some role players have been okay. Biggio, Canna, like they've gotten some okay hits, but that's not consistent ABs. Um, so yeah, I mean, basically the Cubs and Royals are opposite right now. Uh, Luckily, the AL Central doesn't look like it's the juggernaut uh, that nobody expected it to be anyway. But uh, both Centrals are they'll be winnable for most of the year for most teams. Like White Sox are probably already eliminated, and probably the Pirates. But other than that, I think all teams uh, will be in play for most of the season.
Yeah, and just looking, so the Royals will finish up with Baltimore tomorrow. Cubs will finish up with the Padres. Monday, it looks like the Royals open up a four game with the Twins at home, and then the Cubs will open up a series with the Rangers. So that'll be probably the second best team. Third, I don't know what I mean. It's hard to get a read on the Padres. Is it just because they're not in San Diego? Is it because Chicago's kind of cold right now, weather-wise? Like I don't know. But the Rangers are coming in. Well, this says 6-2, but I think we'll see what they're doing tonight.
I did see where Cubs,
They're up
based off
6-4, bottom eight.
records based off of last year, Cubs had the hardest April. So if you're even able to kind of keep this pace of 2 or 3 games above 500, then the schedule turns over to May, where they actually have the easiest schedule in baseball. Um, so it's kind of what you said, like opposite of the Royals again. Get through April enough, and you should be able to handle May. Whereas the Royals, like if your history stays true, you really need to do more than right the ship in April, because May is about to be just a dogfight.
Yeah, and checking in on our old friend Brady Singer. 5 innings, 9 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks, 91 pitches for a 2.25 ERA.
Yeah, he had 7 shutout against the Rangers in his Reds debut.
Yeah, and again, there'll be no Brady Singer slander here.
That was my dude.
We're big Brady Singer fans. We understand why the move had to be made,
Yep.
and we knew it was coming at some point. We thought it was going to be last year. Uh, the trade talks with the Cardinals seemed like they were heating up, but kind of fizzled out. So we knew it was only a matter of time before Brady moved on. It's the Reds. Yeah, it could have been better, I guess. But I'm happy with India so far. Ask me 2 months from now. But I've told Red fans who we've interacted with, be excited about Brady Singer. He's gonna have games like this where he's gonna get knocked around a little bit, but I promise you that you're not gonna have anybody who's more competitive on the mound than Brady.
You're gonna get 160 innings out of him. Like the dude's a ball player. There's no better compliment to a baseball player than that. Just in case you were curious, but you're gonna get 160 plus quality innings, barring any kind of freak injury, right? Like
Yep.
you can't see that happening, but it does. But you have to give talent up to get talent sometimes. I always say that in fantasy football when trades are happening and stuff. Like you can't just ask for my best players and give me nothing in return. Like you have to give talent up
Yep.
to get talent. And this is no different. Like you wanted a good leadoff hitter, well, you had to give up a nice pitcher.
Yeah, and again, if he can keep the walks down, that's just sometimes gets him in trouble. The free bases, but again, that's all Royals pitchers. Go back to the postseason last year. We could have beat the Yankees, but we couldn't quit walking the Yankees. And then Giancarlo Stanton got back to old Giancarlo Stanton form. So again, Brady, good start for him to start the season. I know it's not what you want with 5 runs, only 3 earned though. But the strikeouts are there, and again, the one walk, so that's good as far as that goes. So hopefully that's a good sign for Brady. As long as he's keeping those down, he's gonna be all right.
Yeah, I like Brady. I do miss him a little bit, but like I said, I've said earlier, I like the Royal starter so far, so it hasn't come back to bite us yet, I guess I would say, or something to really miss yet. But uh, I'm glad he was able to get to the NL Central, so I'll probably be seeing quite a bit of him as a Cubs fan.
Yeah, let's end on some NFL talk real quick. Um, Julio Jones retires, 7-time Pro Bowl receiver. Julio Jones officially retires. One of my favorite receivers. Um, him and Matt Ryan had a dirty connection, man. Like that was times were good when Julio was when the Falcons were.
Unless you ask our cousin, needed more touchdowns, bro. I'll take 15 catches for 300 yards.
Yeah, good fantasy numbers even though the touchdowns weren't there. But good career for Julio. Congrats to him on a you hate to see him kind of go out the way he did. But again, not everyone can go out like Calvin Johnson, who I think could have played 5 more years. But again, it is what it is. But now you're starting to see guys that we grew up watching hanging it up. So it's kind of just like, damn, we're old. Once Aaron Rodgers retires, then that's literally our childhood. Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning,
Drew
Drew
Brees,
Brees,
Tom
Tom
Brady.
Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, not cool.
No, it's at that point now. It's like, damn, we've actually seen a good part of NFL history now, and uh, my back has been trying to tell me that for years, but now
Oh
we're
God.
actually seeing the headlines that match it. But yeah, gonna miss Julio. One of those dudes you would tune in to watch whether you were a Falcons fan or not in his prime. So uh, surefire Hall of Famer, no doubt, no debate. Um, he'll be getting his statue the moment he's eligible.
And then not too long ago, Teron Armstead announced he was retiring. Also,
Damn.
35 years old. Happy retirement to him. Anchor. He was an anchor. Really, he was. He was one of the better ones. It's really hard now to find those franchise left tackles, but he
Or even a good one.
or even a good one. And I get it, Chiefs fans. Um, know all too well, right? So it's it is what it is. I'm gonna pull up. We had some comments on some of our recent posts. So I put some reels up on Instagram. Make sure you go follow us on Instagram. There was one where I put one up that said, "I still like Kirk Cousins to the Browns." Um, our friend Sports PSP says he and Stefanski's relationship, maybe it can refresh Kirk, but he's 37 and he has the Achilles injury. I do. That's valid. It truly is. Um, but again, it's not going to cost the Browns money. Um, the Falcons would have to front most of that. So again, it's cost efficient, and you can't really get any worse than what they've had, right? The whole Deshaun Watson's swing and a miss. The owner come out and says that.
That's wild that I told you when I saw that, I'm like, that's homie saying this about an active player on the roster still. Like, not even trying to keep it in house or hide it. Like, yeah, I know he's on the roster and I'm still signing his check and he's showing up, but like, fuck this guy. And I'm like, ooh, never good when you piss the boss off.
Yeah. So again, I like Kirk Cousins. I think he could get like a fresh start. His familiarity with Stefanski. I know the Achilles could be a bad thing, especially at that age. Aaron Rodgers did just fine when he came back. Let's not sit here and Aaron Rodgers didn't have that bad of a season last year. Um, did it take him a little bit to get his footing? Yes. Where the Jets are just the Jets. They're a fucking disaster to begin with. Um, I still think Aaron Rodgers could come, and I think he still has a little bit left in the tank. It's just can Aaron Rodgers get over Aaron Rodgers, essentially at the end of the day. Um, so, and then the second one we posted, they got some comments, which we're not too surprised by it. We're just wanting to make sure that everyone kind of realized that we've been on Jackson Dart for a little bit. So I posted the reel and I said, don't sleep on Jackson Dart. Our friend Arlen, he was on a few weeks ago, loved it. Three Guys, Six Balls NFL podcast. Still hoping to have those guys on here soon to do a draft show with us. Was a Target spot on. And then our friends Cheese and Bear Pod, they love Dart too. He he's likable.
There's a lot to love. There is.
I'm not gonna sit here and say it's a lock to be a top 10 pick, but at the same time, don't be surprised if he does get in that top 10, 12 range. I still think he is Bo Nix this year. I still think if he gets into the right system, Jackson Dart could be a Bo Nix.
I love Jackson Dart to the Steelers. Like
Do
that
I?
that goes to
Let,
fit.
yeah, and do I think Bo Nix would be Bo Nix if he were drafted by the Raiders last year instead of the Broncos?
That's gross to think about as a Broncos fan, I can imagine.
It is, and I say no. Again,
System matters.
systems matter. I think Jackson Dart in the right system. I don't. I get the Steelers draft him. I don't like him with that system. I think Arthur Smith's not a very good offensive coordinator,
He's not, but he's got Pickens and DK
but
to
he has
throw
Pickens
to.
and DK to throw to. I think Jalen Warren's gonna be a very suitable running
Fryer
back.
move.
Fryermuth.
Tight
So
ends, baby.
maybe they could get it figured out there. Um, but again, you know,
Yeah, if he goes to like the Giants or Browns, then sorry, everything I've said about Dart's gonna be wrong.
yeah, no, it's true. So again, thank you guys for commenting on those and leaving those reactions. Again, that's the whole reason why we put those up there was to get feedback, interact with you guys. Thanks you guys that are commenting over here on the chat. It's again, it's been really fun. And we did have a friend ask us why did we start podcasting per
Yeah.
se. Um, so I didn't like podcasts prior to starting my own podcast. There was a couple, probably I'd say 2 or 3 month period where I would listen to Jason and Travis, the New Heights podcast. Um,
Yeah, and I've always said that we were the off brand Kels brothers, like,
yes.
less athletic and less sexy man of the year, but like kinda similar as far as just looks.
So think of it as if you ordered Jason and Travis off Timu,
You'd get us.
we would be the Timu brand of the Kelsey brothers, and that's partially the reason why I started and we started. Yes, they're athletes, but at the same time, it's kind of fun just interacting and talking sports. Um, being a Mark the Timu brand Kelsey brothers, okay, I guess. But at the same time, you know, I see how much fun they're having as brothers, just sitting around talking. Differences they get to talk about, like when Travis plays a game or when Jason
Yeah.
was still
Well, and they
playing.
also not strictly sports either. Like can have celebrities and comedians and kind of just bullshit about everything. So like obviously different levels of where people are at in their life, but like the main gist is just sitting around bullshitting about things they enjoy. And for us that's mostly sports.
So again, if you guys want to call us the Timu brand Kelsey brothers, we
We'll
won't
respond.
we won't take offense to it. We'll actually look at it as a good thing.
Yeah.
Because Timu is apparently the thing now. But I see all the memes about Timu, and hey, I ordered this thing off Timu, and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Well, here you go. You ordered us off Timu, and we're the what the fuck is that Kelsey brothers type. So again, that's partially the reason why we got into doing podcasts. And again, will we ever be able to get on celebrities on here? Probably not. Are we gonna try? Yes, we'll try.
But we're still gonna have fun
But
and talk sports.
yeah. And we have another question up here. Thoughts on what Shaq would do to Jokic in their prime?
You already know how I feel about this.
Um,
You've seen our dog Kobe. What you don't know is he has a brother who hasn't moved, whose name is Shaq. So, uh, Shaq's the most dominant big to ever play the game. So, I think that's all I really need to say on it.
yeah. As far as like
He ran point guard in an All-Star game, so like ball handling skills are there.
and I love Jokic. Don't get me wrong, but if we're going straight post to post, it's Shaq.
And primes. Shaq was athletic in his prime,
He was, and yes, I see Jokic throwing up all this. No, I will say Shaq's not making the passes that Jokic makes.
or threes.
Holy shit, he had that one last night. It's like his like 100th, just behind the back, no look type pass that he's made. Um, I will say Jokic is probably up in the top five. I would almost put him as number two or three as far as that goes, but I still think it's Shaq, and then the two and down. Um, would I pay money to see that? That is probably one thing that I would pay money to
A
see.
lot of it.
Um, but Jokic is not as fast or nimble or athletic.
And that's not a slot. Like that's not a shot at Jokic at all. Like the dude's a stud. I would take him over anyone in the NBA right now just because I love bigs. But you're talking about one of the most dominant dudes to ever play. Uh,
Yeah.
like I don't know. You could have some arguments on some people on Shaq wouldn't be able to stay with him, but there's not any. None of those people would be able to guard Shaq in the post. And if you're playing with like regulation rules and everything, like those dudes would have to foul out in the first 6 minutes to like stand a chance. I do think Jokic could handle his own against Shaq. Like he's not going to get pushed around. Yeah, but I in their prime, I would take Shaq over any big, non-athletic big, right? You get Anthony Davis out there, Shaq might just be running for his life, which is a different story. But yeah, you're going like true big versus true big. Uh, Shaq's winning that heavyweight matchup, I think.
Yeah, and again, they're both different. I get the whole argument of, like LeBron versus MJ and, Kobe, LeBron, and etc. It's fun. It's fun to look back to see what we were watching when we were growing up to seeing how the game's played now, right? Like you think of growing up seeing Shaq and Kobe kind of do their thing. Yes, it's different now with Jokic and Jokic doing his things. Jokic is still putting up fucking out.
Like a 60-point triple double.
He's putting up outstanding, ridiculous numbers. So again, he still gets his flowers as far as what he's doing now. Is he doing it back then? Probably not. But in the present, it's
It
what
works.
it works.
Yeah,
I'd be pissed if I was getting 60-point triple doubles and
taking L's.
taking L's, but also love the Nuggets just because they have our boy Christian Brown on that team.
I will say the question from our dude's sports PSP though, I think that's probably the best now versus then, like now versus then question. Because I think, like I love MJ. I think he's the best, but like him and LeBron doesn't lack the athleticism. LeBron's like 3 times MJ's size, so I think true one-on-one in their prime. I don't think it's actually a debate. I think LeBron would wax them. They're bigger, faster, stronger now. It's just that's how the eras are. So like as much as I love MJ and think he's the best for what he did for the game, you're going one-on-one. Like LeBron is MJ, but just 3 times his size. Like obviously the competitive edge and stuff goes to MJ, but I think Jokic versus Shaq might be one of the best now versus then kind of debates because I do think it'd be close.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So that's gonna wrap it up tonight. Come find us on Instagram. We're getting closer. I think we're at 791 as far as followers go. So we're slowly getting there. Um, Again, thank you for the interactions tonight. We really do appreciate it. We're gonna get the audio up here shortly. So again, we'll be back on our normal time. We have a double dip this next week as far as what we're doing. Recording wise, we'll have guests on our show Wednesday night, and we're also doing a special baseball edition Friday night with our guy Kenny. I know he's been looking forward to it. We've been looking forward to it. That's going to be strictly baseball. We're going to do nothing but talk baseball for an hour. I know you're really excited about this. We've been working on getting a baseball episode, and now we're going to have it. So be sure to join us live both those nights, and we will make sure to post more reels. I know that those have been a hit. Some of you guys let us know that you really enjoyed watching the little 20, 30-second clips that we've been putting on, and the views on YouTube are also suggesting that those are very popular as well. So again, until Wednesday night, we will see you guys then.